without any further ado, Wolfpaper version 2 is out. Ooh, yeah. Serdik AMA is coming. Ask me anything, what would you ask? Would it be along the lines, if I found out the indicators that would show the right timing when it is perfect to dig the ground, then would you share that with people, or would it be too of financial advice? And if you think it would be too much of an advice, the reason would be that the indicators may get old and everybody gotta do their due diligence. Anyway, let's dive in. Here is the difference between the Woof and the Woof. So, first we got the hint that Shibaswap might be coming real soon on July, and then further there were improved incentives for Leash'd. The amount of all bone per block were doubled from 0.5 to 1% when you bury Leash'd. And then when you dig Leash'd, 700 AP instead of 500, that was increased. And Shib's AP were decreased. And that makes sense since Leash'd is the store value for our ecosystem. That chain reaction to get bones. And now that the bone APs were doubled to 3,000, first you have Leash'd that you dig, and then that will be most likely the fastest way to gain bones. And then once you have bones and you dig them, you will further accumulate the effect to get even more bones. And thereby, those were the major updates in terms of tokenomics to the Wolfpaper version 2. We have already done many good estimations and conclusions in the previous video. Yet once more, you can do your own diligence and see the highlights for Leash'd. And this will be more of a personal follow-up, since when the year turned, I started another personal storyline that was merged together with this decentralized ethos and the themes, and it fit perfectly together. So a word about that, who is who. I couldn't almost help myself to play with the thought when the subtitle for my new book happened to be Who is Who. You could ask, who is Ryoshi? And I don't further have to incline you in a way or another, you know who is who. Yeah. Well, a few wonders about this, since We Walk on Water has been written with the, how would I say, depth and width that fits and aligns so well with the values that are present in decentralized project and the ethos. The subcontext for this book thoroughly is really who is who for real. And then one may ask how I came up with this. That's a lifelong story. And all that is portrayed in this artwork. That portrayal of the storyline, where the challenges and all that is so nuanced in between the lines of human dynamics. That is the context for the storyline that crystallizes in the book We Walk on Waters. Who is who? When I say subcontext, who is who, I mean that I don't even refer to it in the story. It is fair and open-mindedly there, underlying in between the lines. Who is who unifies and reflects upon the questions: who is able to do what? With who? To whom? And who's who is able to create, to receive, and to give? Within whom is the energy that is necessary to make us happen? We. In those unique aspects, this book was possible to happen only because of all pieces of the sky were aligned in ways that I was capable to make this book happen in this exact time and way it had to happen. Nigh on real-time flow. Due to the limitations of time and fast-forwardness of life, this book was able to happen in this wholesomeness as it happened. That way, this is a great, how would I say, epitome, an exemplar of something where all we and those directions come together, yet on the personal level, as they come together that way in decentralized incubation of ideas and togetherness and creation, ambition, goals, challenges, patience. All that within who and how and what become possible in due diligence. All that is so vast, living conceptualization. It has to it has so much depth and width of actualization, that you cannot just briefly talk about it. So this book has over 700 pages and happened in the limitation of time during a half year. I began to write it when the year turned, right after the previous book. That was the appetizer. So now it has been roughly a half year. This is the main food. It has so much of understanding what I have learned in the past decade of my lifetime. This book crystallizes them in a living storyline context that is not anyhow a guidebook, not financial advice, although a multitude of that is there. And although there are many small prologues of chapters where I objectively observe matters of intrinsic value, but that is a minority in comparison to the living storyline and dialogue and all that humanity that is within, where the understanding expands in the collaborative frame, our decentralized frame. You cannot just briefly talk about these matters, but it takes this kind of artwork. It must be experienced by the experiencer. By oneself. You cannot write a brief entertaining review about this one, It must be experienced thoroughly in order to be the incubator upon oneself. Reading 15 minutes a day of witty pander doesn't hurt anybody. The witty humor might be the fairy dust that helps people to fall asleep. Who knows? The reader is also the writer. All the depth and the concepts in this artwork is simultaneously so magnificent and so nobody. Who is who? It depends that even if a human being would try to be as objective as possible, they won't be. Their own life will incline the matters included in especially this book in a way or another. That's why the reader is also the writer. One will always interpret the matters of life in a way or another. How they have previously experienced life. And as we throughout the history have seen many well-beloved pieces of art or creations or even ecosystems. And societies, they have been loved and disliked. And that is the artistic mark of greatness. In a way, it doesn't bother about pleasing everybody. Whereas in this piece of work, I detached, and it is detached from all those kind of inclinations. I did my best to write an aspiring, valuable story. It is genuinely written as if to who could truthfully interpret the reality. Who? And I can see the best value for the experiencer, oneself, experiencer. These are the matters that if you know these, then what would anymore be not possible? You can, we are. If you know who is who for real, anything is possible within. Then each one within understands so much that they can self-actualize and bring on the most for each other. And I say that our decentralized ecosystem is also one exemplar of that. The people involved are more or less self-actualized, and they together are making the creation and the value and the change, and they happen for each other. And of course, those who don't yet know, we welcome them to know. And still, if there is someone hesitant or doubtful on that note, this book would be the eye-opening key to the doors, and they would understand what we are about, since we walk on waters. Woof.